Oh, man, I hope you're as excited as I am for this, okay? And for me, that takes a lot. If I can pick one thing that always works in an election, and it may work again and be the dispositive proposition, okay? What is it? We heard it first in 1980, right? 79. Ronald Reagan. What did he say? This is the measure right here.
I think when you make that decision, it might be well if you would ask yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
We are better off than we were 4 years ago.
Ronald Reagan used to ask the question, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? In this case, are you better off than you were in 6? And the answer is, the country is definitely better off.
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
I mean, that is it, man. That is the sole criterion as opposed to criteria. And we have the person who figured that out before the rest of us, okay? He was a speechwriter for Richard Nixon, and he has a book out that I literally tore up. I'm saying, like, just raced through it. Behind closed doors, in the room with Reagan and Nixon. And let me tell you something. I wanted Ken Khachigian to come on because what Khachigian was living then is so similar to where we are right now. So let's welcome our friend Ken Khachigian. And the book, again, is Behind Closed Doors, in the Room with Reagan and Nixon. There you are.
Hi, Chris.
Thank you very much for taking the opportunity, Ken.
Good to be here. Thanks. Hello from California.
So do us the favor. Where were you when you got the idea, but also the verbiage, the idea of phrasing it as better off?
Sometimes we didn't have laptops in those days. We had typewriters. Sometimes your typewriter is smarter than you are. But we had these boring speeches coming out from headquarters every day, and we needed something to spruce up the campaign. And I was sitting there thinking and thinking. We had some economic statistics coming out from the White House and the Carter administration, and the price of gasoline, the price of cars, and the price of food was jumping out. And we're trying to think, how can we develop a stark contrast that, I don't know, it just sprang out of my head somewhere. I can't tell you where it came from. Sometimes speechwriters come up with words that they don't know where they came from. And it came out. And I said, ask yourself, are you better off than you were in 1976? That was the original wording. Now, I have to confess, that was the original wording that we used in the speech in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, 25 miles outside of Philadelphia at the Oxford Mall. I'll never forget it. And it was, look at the price of food, look at the price of gasoline, and then ask yourself, are you better off than you were in 1976? And then Governor Reagan, who was running for president, he used it again a week later in California. And then we tweaked it again and tweaked again. And then he, of course, he's the best speechwriter of the entire group. And then I didn't know he was going to use it in his closing statement in the debate. I had no idea. And there he was coming up with that closing line in the debate, and boom, he just stuck it to Carter so bad.
Did you know, Ken, did you know that this line had magic to it back then?
No, I have to tell you that I kept a diary in this campaign. I recorded the diary on a tape recorder, and it's going to be it's in the National Archives. It's not public yet. I write about it in my book, but I thought that actually that his closing statement was not that great. I recorded in the diary. Isn't that crazy? I thought, geez, the closing statement wasn't a grabber, but then everybody else wrote about it. I guess I was so tired. Chris, you've been in campaigns. You were in campaigns with your dad. And you get to the end of the campaign, you're living on 2, 3 hours or 4 hours of sleep a night. You're eating bad food, drinking cold coffee, and your senses you lose your senses, and your judgment goes off, and you're too close to the campaign. So I actually didn't think it was a very good closing statement, but boy, it went to the heart of the whole campaign.
Yeah, you were wrong, my brother. You were wrong. Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget, Click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.